Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel, and a particular welcome to any new subscribers out there. It's wonderful to have you on board. Now, before we get on to the topic of today's video, I just wanted to say that if you happen to have missed my recent collaboration with the wonderful Northern Introvert, you can find it in the description below. It's where I get to walk around Piercebridge Fort and Bridge, so if you're interested in seeing me actually out and about for once, as opposed to being inside this studio, that's the video for you. Now on to today's topic. On the southeastern edge of Coventry, in the village of Badgington, stands an unusual Roman site, one that's Latin name has been lost to time. But through archaeological finds and reconstructions, we have discovered an extraordinary history, and one that involves a structure found nowhere else in the Roman Empire. I am of course talking about Lunt Roman Fort. Lunt Roman Fort was first discovered in the 1930s due to Roman pottery being found in large quantities on the site. And in the 1960s, a man called Brian Hobley of Coventry Museum did systematic excavations of the site, discovering the fort structure and also several distinct periods of occupation. Since then, the fort has been partly reconstructed, most famously its wooden gateway, which was built under the instruction of archaeologist Margaret Rylott, using the same tools and techniques that the Romans used 2,000 years ago. Today, Lunt is open to the public. You can stand underneath the reconstructed gateway, you can go inside reconstructed buildings, and you can stand inside the footprint of its most unique feature, the Gyrus. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's take a look at its long and somewhat varied history. Lunt occupies a high plateau above the River Sal, and from this plateau the Romans had commanding views over the landscape for up to 2 to 3 miles, a perfect defensive position. Now the river gave them fresh water, and the nearby forest of Arden gave them a plentiful supply of timber. The fort also lay at the crossroads of 2 major Roman roads, Watling Street and the Fosse Way. And this part of Britain was particularly militarised after the Boudiccan revolt, and Lunt's position in Britain would have been ideal for hunting down any survivors of that revolt. Interestingly, excavations have discovered 4 distinct periods of occupation at Lunt. The first is around 60 AD, in the final suppression of the Boudiccan revolt. Now, the fort may well have been used as a supply depot or a headquarters for a legion taking part in that campaign. By 64 AD, the second occupation began. The fort was shrunk in size and was seemingly occupied by a cohort. And excavations have found a Principia, a Praetorium, 2 granaries and 6 barrack blocks dating from this period. Evidence also points strongly to the presence of cavalry during this period, and the Gyrus, that most remarkable feature of Lunt, dates from this period as well. And the second occupation lasted until around 77 to 78 AD. There was a third period of occupation that lasted between 78 AD and 79 AD, where a double ditch system was made and a twin-portaled southern gateway. However, this version of the fort was very quickly decommissioned as a result of Agricola taking the legions on campaign into modern-day Scotland. The supposed fourth occupation of the fort comes around the time of the Gallic Empire, but I should stress the only actual proof we have of this is a single coin of Emperor Gallienus, who reigned between 260 and 268 AD. It was found in a post hole in one of the gateways. But whether this was a legitimate occupation or whether it was simply somebody losing some money, we don't know. But it does show that the site wasn't entirely forgotten about. Now onto what truly sets Lunt apart from other Roman forts, the Gyrus. Now on the eastern edge of the fort, where you'd expect a long straight defensive line, there's actually a pronounced curve that creates a perfect circle that is 32 metres in diameter. And the area within it was dug to a depth of 1 metre and then surrounded by a timber stockade. This is the only known example of a gyrus in the entire Roman Empire, and its purpose seems to have been in training horses, getting them to run round and round in circles on long reins to teach them obedience and manoeuvrability. And archaeological finds of horse equipment reinforce this interpretation. The building of the gyrus had a huge impact on the shape of the fort, with other buildings having to be shortened or moved entirely in order to accommodate it. And the normal Roman fort playing card shape, that was broken. But the gyrus became a permanent fixture, even as other bits of the fort were altered. In many ways, the gyrus transforms Lunt from just another Roman fort into a rather interesting experiment of military organisation and training. Based on the number of barrack blocks that have been excavated, it's estimated that Lunt, at its height, had 480 infantry and 120 cavalry. But interestingly, whilst other Roman forts got transformed into stone forts, Lunt never got that treatment, which tells you just how short its occupation was. And there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed learning a bit about Lunt Roman Fort. It's truly a very interesting place, and I very much recommend you go and see it, if for no other reason than to experience the magnificent reconstructions that have been built there. But until the next time, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, it helps immensely, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.